Welcome to the Flora and Order Time Chat. My guest today is Kath Moynihan. She is a professional organiser based in Melbourne's East. She specialises in supporting people who want to declutter to downsize, who need assistance to manage the demands of life admin, and those who are living with a disability. Her business is called Let's Conquer Clutter, which I just love that name. And it really speaks to taking action, which I'm all about here at Flora and Order. So tell us, when it comes to decluttering, especially for those downsizing or managing life admin, where do you suggest that people start?
Hi, Christie. Thanks for having me. I think the best time to start is yesterday because it is a long job. Sorting out a lifetime of clutter is going to take some time. And actually, it's not even just things that are clutter. It's that there's going to be all these possessions that have history and meaning for the person. So you need to be able to give yourself the amount of time to process evaluating these items and just making the decisions about what you're going to do. So I find that it's different for every individual. The best place to start, sometimes it's just with one small thing, like a drawer, for example, or maybe they've got a collection of something, so they want to talk about their collection and then start making some decisions. Or sometimes it's like, the garden shed or like the storage shed out the back. So previously, when I was supporting somebody, that's where we started because the garden shed was the easiest. And it got the process underway and it enabled them to get some familiarity with the manner in which I work. And also they got to experience a little bit of success. And then once you have that happening, then you can build on that and move through into the other areas of the house.
Yeah, you're touching on something I was speaking about the other day of, doing the worst thing first and how that works for some people.
Yeah.
That other people need a few runs on the board before they can tackle that hard place.
Yeah.
Have you also experienced that like it's really depends on the person?
Yes, I think it is. It's a very individual experience, and that's why I had made the comment earlier. Trying to follow the fads all the time, it's not actually a good idea. It's better to just start small and explore how you want to work and what your feelings are going to be like. How easily will you let go of things, or how tightly are you going to hold on to things? And that's how you can begin to understand what's the best way for you to work going forward. So sometimes hardest thing is first. I certainly think in the workplace, when you've got, a list of jobs, you don't want to do any of them. That whole thing about if you've got a list of frogs, you have to eat the frog. And if there's too many frogs, eat the ugliest one first, to get it out of the way. So in my professional life, I often took that approach. When I was procrastinating about something because it was complex, I would do the hardest thing first to get it out of the way. And one of the strategies I used to use when I was doing that was I would think, how good is this going to feel in 30 minutes? When I will have actually done it, I'll be on the other side of this frog and I'll feel so much better.
That's a really, good mantra, good thing to keep in mind. And you touched on there your varied professional life. It has been very varied. How have you found yourself? I suppose take us on a quick tour of your career path. How do you find yourself running your own business now?
This is actually my third small business.
Wow.
I started off volunteering in the field of disability and went on to university and eventually employment in the field. So I was in it for many years before I then sort of segued into TAFE teaching other people to be disability support workers, and then teaching their managers, delivering an advanced diploma, community sector management, and advanced diploma of disability. And then that then morphed, all the courses were cut in the big slasher 2012. And I had to get some cash flow happening. My littlest was about to start school and we had a mortgage. So I jumped the fence and became an administrator with the university. And I was there for about 8.5 years before taking a redundancy. And then I went straight back into teaching, actually, ironically. And then after a while, I heard about this person, Marie Kondo. And I as soon as we got Netflix, I watched that special and I'm like, you are kidding me. People get paid for being an organizer. Like, I've been an organizer my entire life, professionally and privately and personally, and I just didn't realize that it was a thing where people could actually make it their living. And within a few weeks, I thought, you know what? I'm going to hang up my shingle, put it up there and say, I'm an organizer, because actually, literally, I'm an organizer. So since then, that was 2019. So it's actually 6 years since I made the decision, this is my business. And for the first 2 years, though, I worked on another project developing virtual reality training materials for disability support workers, which was something I was very passionate about it. So I wanted to do that project. So my business was just a little business for those first few years. And then when the project finished up, I just have been doing this since. So
fascinating.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest time-related challenges your clients face, and how do you help them navigate that?
I think the biggest issues facing the people that I'm working with at the moment, I'd have to say it's all around tasks and time, managing both, prioritizing tasks, and allocating time realistically. So like that's quite a big issue, just trying to get control of the to-do list. So I've been doing a lot of work around developing templates and performers, methods and strategies that suit each individual person, so that then they can start adjusting the way they behave in their life to adopt these practices so that they can have an improvement as soon as possible, really. So my idea is that if they can just tweak one thing or make one adjustment and appreciate the benefit of that, then again, you can build on that success and move on to the next thing or a slightly bigger thing to try and get a better outcome for them.
And do you have an example that you could share about someone with a disability? Like how have you helped someone with a disability to manage that
yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the people that I've been working with, though some of them have a disability, they don't have the additional challenges because of the issues around task and time aren't because they have a disability. They're just because they're busy. There's so much going on. There's a lot of pressure, all those sorts of things. Examples of when I have actually been working with people whose issues do result from their disability, it was really an approach where we were taking one small piece or one small area at a time, cleaning as we go, and then trying to structure the spaces so that it was easier for the person to maintain them. So for one example, this person that I'd worked with, there was paper everywhere in his like dining, and he had a bench along one side. It was all just, there was stuff everywhere. And so he couldn't even find his important papers. You know how when you want to apply for a job, you know, they want to see your most recent whatever to, you know, put up the documented file or the most recent resume used or whatever. And also like other important documents like marriage certificates and birth certificates and insurance papers and all that sort of stuff. So in that instance, we did a massive cleanup of categorizing all of these pieces of paper and then bundling them into their categories. And then we actually went and got some of those hard stationery cases. Do you know that product? They come in different colors. They're about A4 and they've got varying thicknesses. But what you can do is get all of the paper on a particular topic into one of those, label the side of it, and then anything that turns up can just get slotted in. And then about once every 6 months, you go through and chuck out the stuff that is no longer relevant. But it keeps it in control in the space. And that made it a lot easier for this particular person to keep it under control. And a couple of weeks after we finished that area of work, he had to apply for a job. And so for the first time ever, he was able to just go over and grab one of these cases and, get the documents that he needed. So he was very pleased with that strategy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Good bloke.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, as you kind of touched on there, like decluttering, it's not just about the physical space, but it's about your mental space of like feeling like you can apply for jobs and you can just do the things, taking away those hurdles, I suppose, and making things easier for yourself. How else with your clients have you seen that connection between their organization and doing life?
Well, I know some other examples have been when people have control or somewhat some control of the massive tasks, and then in preparation for our next session, they'll review their to-do list and write a ta-da list. So as in, ta-da! It's really important that we celebrate the wins, even if they're only tiny little ones. And I think sometimes people forget to feel good about what they've actually been able to achieve because they're very busily caught up in all the things they haven't got to, all the things that they haven't been able to do. So
sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I just think that so for people to be able to acknowledge that they've achieved something, however small, that's really important.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into, on your website, you use the phrase capable environments. So, and how your work focuses on that, people in complex situations. Tell us more about that. Like, I think that's what I was getting at earlier. Like, how is your work different to another organizer who is maybe not as proficient in that capable environment area?
I think there's going to be a lot of similarities, a lot of overflow between what other organisers might actually do and what I was referring to when I said capable environments. So that's a concept that I came across working with the psychologists in the recent project, the virtual reality project. I was actually working with a team of psychologists developing the training materials, and it was, the focus was on positive behaviour support, how to support people who have some behavioural challenges. And positive behaviour support training is all about teaching the staff how to interact and support all of these people by following this set number of principles. And one of the main concepts in positive behaviour support is all about capable environments. So creating an environment, setting up an environment that sets the person for success in their own home space, in their routines, in how their possessions are arranged, in the food that they're eating, all these sorts of things, the space they live in, doing everything that we can to make that environment as positive and pleasant and acceptable for that person as we can.
Wow.
So it's a lot about environmental adjustment, sure, but it's also about individualising the work so that the person is in the best possible position to have it like a good quality of life.
Wow.
That's a capable environment. But sorry?
Oh, that must be so rewarding.
Oh, yeah. The principles of positive behaviour support, we did a lot of development work on how to simplify them enough so that they would be easily more easily taught to large teams of staff. So yeah, it was a very, very satisfying project.
Cool. Yeah. And so how do you see time like playing a role in building and maintaining those supportive spaces?
I see the thing about the role of time, I think one of the strongest connections there is, how you can get an environment, you can get it organised. but we all want to live in our environments. So we have to be prepared to allocate the time needed to do the reset.
Yeah.
So that every so often, on whatever timetable suits the person, there is a allocation that says, oh, now I'm going to put everything back, put everything away, put everything back where it was, so that my environment is again reset to be at that, most satisfactory, most ideal level, acknowledging that it's a space I live in. So of course it's going to get messed up again.
Yeah.
But as we allocate the time to reset, then that enables us to maintain it going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely not a one-time thing, is it?
No, it's not. But I think a lot of people think that it is.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of miracle. We're going to do this once and it will always be like that. But actually, you have to put in the effort to maintain your systems or the strategies that you've got in place.
Definitely.
So I think so also, like, in terms of time, time plays a major role in establishing and ingraining the routine needed to minimize the amount of time you need for a reset.
Yeah.
So if we can adjust a routine a little bit, then the next time we have to do a reset, it's not as massive because we've made it a habit to do this one particular thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's another part of the puzzle as well.
Yeah. Do the huge overhaul once, and then the other times are not going to be as bad. But I think many people do associate that first time as it's always going to be this, like this.
Yeah. Yes.
It is that it gets easier and easier.
Yeah. I mean, I know a few organisers do reset work, or they get booked every 2 months to go in and reset the property for the family or the client, which is completely fine as well. If you can afford to pay for it, you don't have to do it yourself. You can actually pay somebody else to do it. Any organiser can happily come in. Doesn't matter which one, really. We'd all be able to go, oh, we can reset this.
Yeah.
We'd just be able to do it.
Yeah. And I just think something you said made me think about what you had before we jumped on the recording, that you mentioned that you are in this perfect work-life balance at the moment that you wish to have till the end of your till retirement. So yeah, how do you personally approach time management, and how is it feeling really good at the moment? What's changed?
Well, in truth, my life has simplified somewhat over the last couple of years. So it's really the first time I've had plenty of recreational time and time to pursue some interests in hobbies, or time to pursue some new ideas or new fields that I've been interested in or curious about. So that has been absolutely lovely. But in all honesty, I must say, having not as much time pressure means that I'm not as efficient as I used to be. I'm not, I mean, in terms of on the job, of course, absolutely, it's all about quality customer service as far as I'm concerned, always. But I mean, in my own life, I'm a lot more laid back than I think I have been so far, really. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said I'm loving it.
Yeah, good. And I think, there's
Great.
shouldn't we all be striving for that more laid backness, that
Well, yes, but it's easier said than done. Let's face it. So, in my earlier years, it was impossible to have even like an hour a week to myself, really. And now, both my kids are older teenagers or young adults, and it's simplified. Everything else is simplified as well. So
yeah, I think it speaks to like the seasons of life, and how we might be enjoying or disliking one part of life, but we'll swings and roundabouts, it'll come around and a change will come, and maybe you really love that new season or dislike that season, and the next one to come around.
I do find that it's one of those sort of reasons why I started to get interested in supporting people to declutter, to downsize, because through my connections, in my private life, come across quite a few instances of where the elderly person, having done nothing, suddenly has a fall, has to be hospitalized, everything is in disarray in their home. The family are just, it's all emotional and it's complicated, and it's just so hard to do it when the person isn't there to talk through everything. It's really quite difficult for the family to make decisions. So in a scenario where the organiser, you can say, hire the organiser, and the family just say, go in and get that categorised and sort it out. We can totally do that, but it's not the right approach if the person has got any feelings at all about their own possessions. You have to consult, you have to collaborate. And that's why when you were saying when's the best time or where to start, and I was saying, well, when to start was yesterday, because it literally does take a lot more time. If you think you're going to get it done in 6 months, plan for 2 years. That's literally what I would say. It takes that long. I supported somebody, we worked together for 2 years, and even though we had done absolutely heaps, even at the end, we were still down to boxes of paper that we had to just box up and remove from the property because it had been sold and was going to be settled. And I would have never thought at the beginning of the 2 years that we would be in that situation by the end of that time. But it took that long. We didn't work every week, and they did lots of work in between sessions. But the time just got away from us. And I guess there was a lot of stuff, so yeah.
It's definitely something I'm seeing with my parents. Experienced it with my mother's parents, and then last year my father and I went over to America to help to clear his elderly brother's house after he died.
Right.
And it is something that I think is changing, this looking ahead, planning ahead, that we really, like, people, well, generations now, they don't want the old stuff from people, and
it's different
for us. It's different. Yeah,
it's really different. So yes, I'm quite passionate about helping out people in that space. And it doesn't mean that they have to work with me ongoing at all, because sometimes it just takes 1 or 2 sessions to set them up and get them on the job, and then they can just run with it. So, of course, some people, because they're infirm or they have a disability, they do need someone else there to physically do the work, which is okay too. So it really just does depend on the individual.
Yeah, taking stock of where you're at, what's your capacity, and then, linking that back to time, taking like a little bit of time each week, because you think, oh, it'll take 6 months, but 2 years later, you still could have used with more time. So because as we kind of I think we mentioned earlier, like it isn't a one-time thing, and you're unpacking a lot of years, a lot of habits, and memories.
Another thing is, of course, I find that the client has it in their head that these possessions are going to certain family members, and those certain family members might not have the same concept in their head. So one of the areas that it's a good idea to get a start on, I did that with this person, is we got up a whole list of all of the things and identified who they thought they were going to, and then started liaising with the various family members about, do you definitely want this item? Because you don't have to move it right now, but the time is coming when it is going to have to be moved. And if you're not taking it, we have to make other arrangements. And going through that process is a very positive process, and it's a very constructive approach to take with the whole family, because it also opens up for discussion. If there are going to be arguments, they can have them then and there. They don't have to wait until the person's hospitalised or sadly passed. You can get it out and start discussing it now. So that's a really good thing to do.
And linking back to your earlier inspiration of Marie Kondo, do you use any of her techniques? And linking that with joy, I was just thinking about passing that on to other people, like needing to check, like, does this bring you joy? Like, it brings me joy to think of it with you, but does it bring that person joy? All that
I don't do the whole joy thing. I respect like her methods, and they worked really well for her, and I think, you know, she does a great job, but I don't actually work along in the same path. I realized really early on I would never qualify to be a Kondo professional organizer because of the requirements, because I looked it up to see, people can study with her, and the requirement that, you know, your home would be organized in such a way. At the time, I was living with a victim of clutter and, you know, 2 teenagers, new pets. That was never happening. I could organise my own little room, my drawers, that was fine. But in terms of the bigger picture, it was all about collaboration. It's all about negotiation. So it's just got to be realistic. It's got to be livable. It's got to be functional. And the thing is, I'm going for practical over pretty every time, all the way. So I'm not one of those, I can make a pantry look really nice, but I'm far more concerned that the prioritising food being consumed within date, stock getting out first, newer stock going to the back, use by dates being retained on everything, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's
yes.
a high priority for me. It's a high priority. So
yeah, no, I agree. Practical over pretty every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad she got you going, but glad you found your own path.
Absolutely. I mean, I do, when I'm discussing items with people, I reassure them, you don't have to get rid of all the stuff that you love. You know, if this is the favorite jacket, hang on to the favorite jacket. Don't just get rid of it because there's too many. Look at the other ones. So there's a lot of like putting things in order of value. I did a great activity with my own 2 kids. This is going back a while. When we'd been watching Survivor. You know, Survivor, where people get voted off the island. So we got together all the stuffed toys, well over 70, and we had them laid out in the whole thing, and we're like, right, everybody chooses their, you know, favourite 20.
Wow.
And then with the other ones, we're going, okay, who's getting voted off the island? You know, so they had to vote.
That's really fun.
It was fun.
Wow.
Then we took the last photo of all the toys that got voted off the island, and off they went to be recycled at the opportunity shop.
Yeah, that's a really good concept. I love that. taking something like popular and fun, like a TV show, and using that in decluttering as a decluttering strategy.
To do something, Christie. I was getting desperate. I was just getting desperate, and every so often they'd come back from the op shop with their dad, and everybody would have 2 or 3 more, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, more stuff to." Yeah.
Oh, what do you have an item at the moment that is your, like, you have to be careful, buy too many, or it's your kryptonite?
I collect vintage Australian ceramics.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you know how you were just saying, the next generation doesn't want all that old stuff anymore. There are a few of us who still really love that kind of thing. So I don't know if you're familiar with this kind of stuff. It's, you know, the 1950s, the 1960s, Australian ceramics. There was a lot of curves, a lot of different colours, a lot of luster type products. There's quite a few potteries here in Melbourne that actually manufactured the stuff. There's no potteries here anymore. And there was also potteries in Sydney that manufactured stuff. So I have a collection of those sorts of things, but I am always culling. So I'm trying to improve my collection to get it to the absolute nicest pieces, and then just getting rid of the ones that are really not so great. Right? It's okay to have things that we love. That's
definitely okay. Yeah. I was just more thinking about my grandma had these really old, heavy dining room like, you know, chairs, and I'm like, it's just even looking at it makes me feel depressed, you know, like it's just going to bring the tone of the room down. But
Yeah.
it was the you know, the pride and joy, and so the thought of, oh, what, someone doesn't want that is like,
Ah, yes.
out of the realm of possibility. But it's like, no, I don't, doesn't suit
Yeah.
the lifestyle or the vibe now.
Yeah. This client, she had an electric organ that she was determined was going to her granddaughter, until her daughter said, "Mum, it's never coming. That organ is not coming into my house, Mum." You know,
Yeah.
which really saddened the lady. It was very difficult to get anybody to take the organ. There's some things, it's so hard to get rid of them, like really old pianos that are past tuning. That is a very difficult get rid of. Though some people turn them into pieces of art. I don't know if you've seen any of those. They gut them and turn them into installations. But yeah, yes, the electric organ.
That would be a hard one. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting with me, and yeah, letting me in on what your business is all about.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much.